welcome back. We're at Unit 3-3, and this one's called Factoring Trinomials. Factoring Trinomials. So we're kind of familiar with what factoring might be, what it will look like, and now we're going to get into working with polynomials that have three terms. We call those trinomials. Alright then. Here we go. Here's a math career for you. A foreign exchange trader. A foreign exchange trader looks at various factors that influence local economies and the rates of exchange. We understand that there's not just one currency in the world, there's lots of different currencies. And there are lots of men and women who work in this career, especially as we have a global economy. You can see the salaries are pretty healthy here, from almost $70,000 at the low end clear up into pushing $140,000 a year for the high end. You can see your math needed on this side over here. And again, if this is something that you might be interested in, of course you can look it up yourself, and I'll be glad to help you with that as well. I have some information on this particular career if you'd like. Alright, standard 11.0. Again, we're here. We're going to apply basic factoring techniques. And today we're going to learn to factor trinomials that look like this. These are actually called quadratics, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in the year, but x squared plus bx plus c. This is what the kind of trinomials we're going to be looking at. And the letter b here is just going to stand for any real number coefficient, and c is going to be for any real number constant like 3 or -6 or even a fraction like 1/2 or something, which we won't see much of those. Not in this sense. Alright, now if you recall, the box gave us an answer in this form. Way back a few, maybe Unit 2 or somewhere in the past, we looked at where we had the box. And we took the box and we multiplied it. And I told you that we were going to be able to use the box to help us later on. Well, here we go with that. The box gave us an answer in this form, x squared plus bx plus c. Now, this x, the one I wrote right below it, this is going to help us find the original question. So what's going to happen is they're going to give us the answer, and now we have to work backwards. Okay, so we're going to be able to use the box now, which we already know how to use it to multiply to a trinomial. Now we're going to take it apart. Alright, so let's take a look at this. If we have the quantity a plus 3 times a minus 2. Now you already know how to multiply those. We can multiply using the box, and our answer will be a squared plus a minus 6. But now what's going to happen is they're going to give us the bottom piece here, and they're going to ask us to factor it and find the question. So this is where we're going to use our x, and then later on we're going to apply the box to it. We're going to start with our x, and then we're going to use the box later when the problem's get a little messier. Okay, so factor the trinomial using the x. So here we go, x squared plus 6x plus 8. So here's what I want you to do is, in this case, just watch this example, and then we'll have some to write down. So just sit back and watch what I'm going to do here. The first thing is I'm going to draw an x underneath the trinomial. Draw an x there. Now, most of this is mechanics. Anybody can draw an x, no big deal. We're just going to draw an x nice and big there underneath the problem. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle term and put it right there. So this is what's called the linear term, this term right here. And I'm going to drop it right here, and I'm going to just use the coefficient. So I have positive 6 here. There's no sign in front of it, so we assume it's positive. The next thing I'm going to do is put the last term here. Now, really what we're doing is we're multiplying this coefficient 1 times 8. Well, 1 times 8 is simply 8, the last term. Okay, now on the sides here, you notice we've got 2 of these slots filled. I need 2 more, so I need to find 2 numbers. And the 2 numbers are going to be placed here on the left and here on the right. And here's the condition. So here's where your genius comes in. I need 2 numbers that when you add them together, you get the number 6. But these same 2 numbers now, when you multiply them, you get the number 8. So what 2 numbers, if you add them, you get 6. And if you multiply them, you get 8. If you add them to get 6 and multiply them to get 8. Well, how do you multiply to get 8? Well, 8 is 1 times 8. Well, but if I add 1 and 8, I get the number 9. So that's not going to work. How else can you multiply to get 8? Well, we know that's going to be 2 and 4. And just so happens, of course, that 2 and 4 add up to 6. So you can place them in any order you like. 4 and 2, 2 and 4, as long as the signs are correct. And look at that. Your answer is right in front of you. You actually have x positive 4 and x positive 2. Now you may say, well, where did the x come from? Well, I don't understand what we're doing here. Okay, so we take this, and let me back it up one. Okay, and what you're going to be looking at is this variable here, the x squared, is going to be your leading term here, just like we've seen with these binomials. And then this guy, positive 4 and positive 2, just gets written into your problem. Okay? So recall that we used to start here and go this direction, and now we're going to be starting here and answering way down here at the bottom with this one. Okay? My pen didn't seem to work there anymore. Okay. All right. Let's see. How about this one? X squared plus 13x plus 30. So this one here, you've got the paper and pencil, so make sure you put this one into your notes as your example to look at. You write the trinomial down, and let's draw the x. We draw the x. Now what goes into the top middle piece there? The top center, we bring down the middle term. So the middle term is going to go right here, 13, positive 13. And then what is 1 times 30? Well, 1 times 30 goes right here at 30. Okay, and now we need two numbers, one on each side, here and here. Find two numbers, and that when we add them, we get this number, and when you multiply them, you get this number. So two numbers that add to 13 and multiply to 30. I'll give you 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. That's correct. 10 and 3. 10 and 3 is 13 if you add them, and if you multiply them, you get 30. Okay, pretty straightforward. And now because we're just working on factoring this, that is your response right there. X plus 10, x plus 3. And you're all done. All right, how about this one? So factor this one on your own here. X squared plus 8x plus 12. I'll give you the x there. And now might be a good time to go ahead and pause your video, fill this out, see if you get the right answer. Okay, I'll wait a few seconds here, and we'll come back to you. All right then, let's say you're done. I'm going to put an 8 here. What goes in the bottom? What goes in the bottom? Did you say 12? 12 should be your answer. Again, two numbers that add to 8 and multiply to 12. I hope you have 6 and 2. 6 and 2. And this is a very straightforward, what we actually call easy x, because it does the next and it's a pretty easy problem. We're going to end up with x plus 6 times the quantity x plus 2. Could you reverse those? You could say x plus 2 times x plus 6. That's fine. Okay. Try to keep your variables out front. That's pretty commonplace. We really wouldn't normally say 6 plus x and 2 plus x. That would actually reverse this trinomial, and you wouldn't have it in standard form. All right, how about this one? X squared plus 11x plus 24. X squared plus 11x plus 24. So again, go ahead and pause the video, jot it down. It'll take you a good 30 seconds at the most, and come right back, okay? All right, then you're back, and here we go. How about 11 here? What goes in the bottom? 24 is correct. Two numbers that add to 11 and multiply to 24. 6 and 4 multiply to 24, but that's not 11 if you add them. How about 8 and 3? 8 and 3, very good. 8 and 3. So your final result is x plus 8 times the quantity x plus 3. All right, how about this one? X squared minus 11x plus 18. So we've got a negative sign there in front. Again, let's draw our x. And what's going to happen now? What do we put in the top piece now? Well, we're going to put negative 11. That's correct. What goes in the bottom? How about 18? All right, so if you want to consider that for a second, think about it. Two numbers that add to negative 11, yet they multiply to positive 18. Add to negative 11, multiply to positive 18. So we know that if we have a positive number down here, don't the signs have to be the same? Either both positive or both negative, right? And because we're adding and we get a negative answer, I think we should realize both of them should be negative. So how about negative 9 and negative 2? And now your answer looks like this, just like you think, x minus 9, x minus 2. So know this piece here, that if this sign here for the constant, positive 18, if this is positive, then these signs will be the same, either both negative or both positive. Just something to keep in the back of your mind there when you're doing these. All right, and that's it for Unit 3-3. If you'd like more instruction, there you go. And try to have a question for us for the next school day, all right? All right then, we'll talk to you.